no way you need 6 months to do
Hi, Miss Becky,
the work.
how are you?
There's just no way. I mean,
How about you?
but I will say this, it took a lot of people.
I need to put stuff out there,
Writing.
the audio files
Now
out
we're
there
at the
for
point
you.
we're waiting for
I'll
the.
send you
That's fine,
one of these days.
Saves
that's
it.
okay.
But, I think we're gonna be able to get the, grant application to the state by tomorrow morning. I need today's resolution signed. That's what they
yes.
told me up in the app.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the first application for electric, is done.
She's got them in a
Yeah,
separate
and now I'm
folder.
just gonna wait for the second one. So as soon as we get those signed and we get them scanned, I can add it. So, no, it's been a good project. I was having fun with Liz Carter the other day when I was talking to her about Albuquerque, and she was asking me questions about vehicles and things like that. I said, well, you know, we have to know the miles, this and that. I said, well, okay, that. So, but during the course of this, I could completely reverse my plan for the zero plan. It now appears to me that the longer runs will have to be the Gillig buses, even the Gillig electrics, because those will do 2.25, and then those will go higher. At some point, those will be up to 300 miles, but, you know, Gillig at least is not lying like everybody else saying, oh yeah, it's 300 miles, and then you get them and they go 225. Gillig is just saying they're 225 to 240. It could go higher, but it depends on the terrain and everything else, so they're meeting at 225, and that's what we need.
Right.
The mid-size buses, I was hoping to do better, but I think at the moment, the best we're gonna see on those is 160. And most of those are about 115, 125. So what might happen with the mid-size ones is, just like we do now, when the buses come in at midday, they switch out, another bus goes out. That bus goes in and gets charged.
So they can be charging.
Yeah. But we'll see.
Looks like a couple of,
Oh, I'm taking a photo later.
in case you get a copy. I brought it over because
Thank you.
I got allergies.
Looks really nice, doesn't it? You know, the plan.
It does.
Yeah, because the last 24, 48 hours, one of the things I've been doing is adding some photos and stuff, and it's got the facility stuff in there. A lot of graphs and maps.
The way the yellow bus looks like that front page
Yeah, and then
representing.
you've got some, and it just, it kind of plays pretty well to it. The graphs, I started with doing the initial graphs on the mileage, and then that crazy, what's his name? Kurt, my God, you know, this is nowhere near as good what I first had it as such, but,
He's so good.
he is very
Hi,
good.
Adam.
I put those in the plan, but, I could do a cut and paste, but I mean, but yeah, I did the initial forecast, then he changed them, and then I changed them again, and then we went back and forth, so it really took, 2 authors to do this thing. It's been worth the wait. So I'll give it one last read tonight, I'm waiting for the electric company,
To hear something. She saved you the date.
I was telling Todd I got his water to the refrigerator. Yeah, there's water in there and I thought, there's somebody.
oh, have you checked back there to see if they got over flash drives? I mean, I emailed mine to them.
Thank you. You're reading, oh, you,
I got too much on it. Hopefully they got it on the email.
okay.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, hey Becky. So we have a document that's in today's agenda.
Okay,
You got a copy of the agenda?
I always
You always
keep
have
one
one.
off.
All right, so if you go to near the back,
Okay.
looking for the
You want
resolution.
something attached to the minutes
It's
later?
it's one of the resolutions for today.
Okay.
She must have separated them.
Maybe just the traigo mi here.
I don't know where they are. Maybe you can find it, I can't even find it. So it's the,
Yes, that's the one.
yeah, well, maybe I'm looking too far. I'm going back. Okay, so, let's see, get the page number. I think it's page Yeah, page 14, your name is on there, so it's a two-page item. This one is resolution 2022-22.
22.
Yeah, so it's the first resolution on page 13, and then the second page, what this one is, we just got the money from the section 5307 in El Paso.
Okay,
So this one allows us to set forward that we're gonna go forward and start applying for those grants.
okay.
And so it needs to have a recording officer, since you do the minutes, it made sense for you to be that person, so I put your name down there to be signed. You know?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so they'll have those today.
Absolutely.
We'll get that. Yeah, it's the first part of what's gonna take several months of documents. You know.
Right,
I
no
passed
problem.
our turn once, so I turned around.
You're at your request.
Right? So I turned around, I missed the turn again, going back inside to turn around again, I still missed it at that time.
Oh, no.
Was that a distracted driving? That was distracted driving.
They get back, Becky, to even before you came on board. How long have you been with us now? 3 years or 4?
3 years? 4 years?
It might be 4 this summer. It's about 4, because I think it was in 2018 we took over for the COG. So it
Yeah,
may not
I
have been,
was right there at that point.
Yeah.
when you-
pretty much, thank God. Yeah, it was an interesting time, so. But, so yeah, in the early days, we used to always meet down here, and then the board decided to move it up. But, yeah, we should be in this room, and there was little or no staff, so
Yeah,
it's come a long ways. Yes, sir.
So I'm just making sure I have everything. You said you emailed everything you're gonna.
I emailed my executive director presentation.
Yes.
It's on the flash drive, but there's a lot of shit.
Yes, and then after that, was there like a budget proposal, federal budget proposal, something like that? Or is that on your?
Yeah, I definitely.
No, so it should just be his presentation for the budget,
Okay,
and then my presentation, executive director.
okay.
I don't know, I think she's doing it verbal on the HR, so
All right.
just those two.
All right,
Yeah,
sounds
it's so
good.
big. There's so much to it. There is one on there that says fact sheet, which might be.
Yeah, it's like and I'll put that up.
Yeah,
I saw
that's
that kind of stuff too, so.
Yes.
And, you know, if they can just give me a signal or whatever, but I'm looking through the agenda right now.
Okay.
I'm just shutting off microphones.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, turn mine off too. Yeah, on right now.
And the back.
Just don't forget to turn it back on.
You want any of these off now?
Oh, that didn't work very well. Want me to try this again?
There may be something because that's used for the public or whatever, I don't know.
Something, it's marked differently too.
Mr. Ellen, so happy to see you. You get points.
Hmm?
You get points for being early.
I am early for a change.
Your book should be right there. I will try to be brief. I'd like to get home, I've got to work on a grant application that's due soon. Technically next week, but the state wants it tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm done, but we have to go through this rigmarole with all these forms of the federal government, and you have to go into grants.com. Log in there, and they have to pop it back in there, then it'll let me sign it.
Are we gonna have a quorum?
That's my understanding. I think the only person missing today will be Cap. Christina? Other than Kathy, is there any no's?
No, it was just Kathy, that replied. Actually, Yvonne, she thought it was gonna be, through Zoom, but I told her it was, I just sent the link for those two.
I know, I saw that. She's funny.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem I have with it is getting here on time.
I know, to make sure that it's two.
So minutes away.
let's have him go and check and see, because
I told her to track.
Good board meeting yesterday.
Say again?
It was a good meeting, but long. I mean, I left at noon. Yeah,
Oh,
we're still going.
You mean Tuesday?
Tuesday was yesterday.
When did you leave?
Right at midday. 3
Oh.
hours. My, budget, that was gone. You just let me. Some other items, you took a break.
the internet we use is just a little portable. We really use Century for it. It's just maybe Anthony. I need some more radio.
It was still early, but, yeah, 5 more minutes, hopefully we'll get here soon.
Yeah, this little tape is there for a reason. Did you move this or someone else?
No, I didn't move it.
Right, come here.
Okay.
Right. Are you guys expecting anybody on WebEx?
Yes. Okay. At least 2 or 3 people.
Looking for a hospital with specific.
No, what's there, yeah. There's little cameras in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Mr. Evans, you just called me.
Yes, sir. I was calling to confirm your appointment tomorrow at 1:45.
Okay, that'll be good.
Perfect. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm noticing participants, I didn't see you on the list. All right, let me know. All right, good luck. Yeah, we'll do that for you, okay. All right, I'll let him know, okay. Adam, can you go back and check, Meiji's trying to get on. Yeah, Adam's gonna go check with the IT guy to see that you're in there. It says, let the host know you're here. Okay, I see we have one person online, Councilmember Flores, I see him on. There is. Okay, let's see what we do to get you operational here. Good evening, we're getting there, slowly. All right, let me see. In there yet.
Was
They say they can't.
Mayor Perea gonna make it?
You trying again?
He wasn't sure.
Yeah. If not, use the email that
Hi,
Christina
how are
sent you, just click on that link, that should work.
What do you have? Where do you have me? Right here?
Yes.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I don't have a camera, so it's not working. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
The only people I see on are Diana and me. Who else is here?
I'm here, Nora.
Nora, I thought that was your voice,
That's me.
but you don't show up on the list of participants.
She's at the chambers, no?
Yes.
Are you at the chambers?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's why. It says BOCC chambers.
Did you hear from,
For a quorum. Is it just the three of us then?
have you heard from Javier?
Not yet.
He told me he might not make it.
I know we're gonna make sure.
Let me see. He just says, something personal came up, I may not make it to the meeting today. That's what Mayor Perea texts me.
Well, with Meiji, that gives us 4. Can somebody please call Diana Mario?
She's on there.
Okay, so we do have 4. If we can get Meiji on.
I saw an email. Cynthia's not, will not be attending as well, right?
That's correct.
Cynthia, I think it was her name.
Well, Kathy,
Kathy, I'm sorry.
yeah, Kathy said she wouldn't be attending.
So as soon as we get Meiji on, we have 4. That'll be 5. 2 in, 3 on. Check with the guys at the IT back there, find out, is there a number that you can call that other than what they've given us?
Okay.
Who did you want to get on?
I'm trying to get Meiji online.
Meiji?
She's called several times.
And who else? think I may have a phone number somewhere. Okay, Councilor Flores is there. Diane is there.
I have Adam in there is gonna try and get a number that they'll call you to get you a link. Because this is not working for you. Is there a link, isn't there a link in there for you to call in? Just use the phone number? Okay. All right, so let's see if we can get, we're gonna try and get you the phone number. They're working on that right now. So that you can call in. Are they doing the phone number now?
I have a couple of phone numbers and everything that she can call in, but she won't be able to see.
That's fine.
Okay.
You want me to call Javier and see if he can participate by phone?
575-525-5985 or 5986.
Okay, 575 525 5985. I don't know what else to tell you, but at least we get you online, we get the meeting started. You're the quorum. All right, I'll hang up now. She comes in on the line, we won't see her on here, how will we know that she's on?
Well, we can hear her.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know if that works indicating that she's on or not. I assume it would.
We have someone on the phone.
Yeah, that's me, Meiji.
There she goes. All right. Ms. Vice Chair, we have a quorum.
Great. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our South Central Regional Transit District meeting. Today is Wednesday, May 25th. It's about 1:38 p.m., and we are meeting at the Doña Ana County Government Center. We will call the meeting to order, and if we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the
of the
United States of America
and to
and to the
the
republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get started with the roll call on our agenda, if we can just take a moment and say a small prayer for all the families of Uvalde, Texas, the children, the teachers, and the families that have been affected by this tragic incident. So if we could just take a moment, please. Thank you. Okay, if we could please have a roll call. Who does the roll call?
Okay, it looks like, am I in the meeting? Can you see me on the video or not?
Meiji, we cannot see you on the screen, but we can hear you.
I know.
This connection is
Now it's giving me that same thing of Nodai the host. So I'm going to try that again.
Okay, and we're going to do a roll call. Lisa?
Okay.
Javier Pereira is absent. Nora Barraza,
Here?
Meiji Powie,
Here.
Yvonne Flores,
Here.
Lynn Ellens,
Here.
Kathy Harmon is absent. Diana Trujillo,
Present.
Peter Atencio, absent. You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm still seeing that thing that says, we'll let the host know you're here.
Does she need to click?
So I don't know who's the host, but somebody's not letting me in the meeting.
Okay, it's the county is the host, so I'm sure they'll work through that, but we can hear you, made you loud and clear.
This is IT back
Okay.
in the AV room. The situation that is going on, she's currently connected through a regular phone connection. So this is not WebEx.
Oh,
She can just stay on.
But I am on WebEx, okay? Listen to me. It says Cisco WebEx meetings. And then I got a message and I had to type in a code and it says, we'll let the host know you're here.
okay.
Well, as the host
But
here,
anyway,
we're not
if you
seeing
can
any
get me-
notification.
Oh, God, you guys.
Okay, hold
All
on.
right, I'll stay on the phone, but I hate that because I can't see anything.
Right, Meiji, and if you can just continue to stay on the phone, and the IT person will continue to work to see if he can connect you. But he's saying
There's nothing we can do from our side.
that we cannot do it from our side, is what he's saying. But she's connected to the WebEx, so why would she not be able to?
Well, she's on the phone line. She probably has the WebEx application opened, but that does not mean she's connected to this meeting.
Okay, because she's saying
So the
that
thing
she's
is,
waiting
on
for the host.
on my computer, I connected in and I typed in a code, and the message I get is, "We'll let the host know you're here," and you guys can't see me, but I'm trying to connect through my computer, not through my phone. I'm on the phone to listen.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying, Meiji, and I'm not
I'll
sure.
stay on the phone.
Okay, yeah, please stay on your phone, which is separate, I understand, and then you have your computer on, and you've connected through the WebEx, through your computer, but you're staying on the line so
Right.
that you can hear us.
So according to Angela Rail, she posted on the chat on WebEx, she says, I had the same problem. I had to join from the meeting link, not the quote, join meeting, unquote, button on
All
the
right,
agenda.
let me try that.
So click on the meeting link from the email that you received.
All right, I'll try that.
Okay. Thank you, Angela. Okay, and while they're working through that, we'll go ahead and get started with the rest of our meeting. And if we could have a motion, please, to approve the agenda. Before we do that, I just have a question for Mr. Armijo. Regarding the discussion and resolution approving the Human Resources Manual, can you, or Sarah, Mr. Armijo or Sarah, is that going to be a long presentation?
No, we have a fact sheet that's in the program. We're going to go through a short list of it. It's something that, if we need to push it, we can push it.
Okay, great,
Let's see how our agenda goes. That's why it's at the end.
very good. And the reason I'm saying I do have to leave by 3 o'clock.
Then
So,
let's plan on
so
pushing it.
we'll see how it goes.
We'll plan on pushing it.
Okay, that sounds good. So at this time, if we could have a motion, please, for approval of the agenda?
So moved by Flores.
We do have,
Second by Murillo.
okay, we do have a motion on the floor for approval of the agenda by Councilor Flores, seconded by Mayor Commissioner Trujillo. Any discussion regarding the agenda? Hearing none, seeing none? If we could have a roll call, please?
Nora Barraza,
Okay, I suddenly got in.
Yes.
Thank you, Angela.
We do see you that you're on there, Meiji. So we're doing a roll call now for approval of the agenda, and I just said yes.
Okay.
Okay,
okay, Meiji Powie,
Yes.
thank you. Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Trujillo,
Yes.
thank you.
Motion does pass. That was 5, yes.
We're
Thank
going to
you.
disconnect Ms. Powie from the telephone so there won't be 2 audio connections.
Okay,
Yeah, well, okay, it's trying to connect me to the audio now on the screen, but it hasn't gotten there yet. So I'm still on the phone.
okay,
As soon as I get the audio connected, I'll get off the phone.
okay, thank you, Meiji. Okay, public input. I don't see anyone out there in the public, so we will move on to the next item. Okay, approval of the SCRTD meeting minutes of April 27th, 2022. Could I have a motion on the floor, please?
So moved by Flores.
Second by Murillo.
Thank you. We do have a motion on the floor by Councilor Flores for approval of the RTD meeting minutes of April 27th, 2022, seconded by Mayor Commissioner Trujillo. Any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none, please, roll call.
Nora Barraza,
Yes?
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Trujillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion does pass. The next item is the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Armijo, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm David Armijo, and I've got a brief presentation. The Executive Director's Report is really going to focus, let me get to the next thing here, on 3 items. The first, talk about our ridership growth, and we've had very stunning ridership growth for this month. I've actually projected it through the next few days, with it taking the 4th week is actually pretty flat with the holiday. Want to talk about the 2 grant applications we're asking for you to approve the resolution to. I did make a presentation of those last week, but I want to show some of the insights into what's in the midst of that, which is going to talk about the fleet itself. And then the last one we'll talk about, we had a very successful day yesterday. The Doñana County gave us a preliminary in their budget approval for the coming year. So I'll talk briefly about that. So ridership, we've continued to have record ridership each of the last 3 months. Clearly having the free ridership, free fares has made a big difference. It took a little while for people to find out that we actually were doing that back in April, but May's numbers have been stunning. We've been getting, in fact, in the first week of the month, we did almost 2,000 rides. This is a far cry from, 3-4 years ago when we were doing that much in a month. So a very significant change. So the ridership is now projected at about 8,200 for the month. Assuming June holds pretty much the same, we could very well hit 75 or 76,000 rides for our fiscal year. The NTD fiscal year runs through September, so those numbers could even be higher. So we've come a long ways to get to this point. What's of interest, of course, as you look at the math, you can see the colors on the chart, is that the red route almost did 1,000 rides. It hasn't done that in ever, and so that's been pretty stunning. But we're seeing good ridership across the board. Even the turquoise route in Chaparral, which when we first started down this road a few years ago was perhaps the worst route we had. So that's come a long ways. We're seeing a good growth in the ridership on the green route heading out to Hatch, and of course some of the other routes, even the local route, which is only a few months old, the Copper, is doing very well as it's approaching 100 rides. So I'm still hopeful that that route over the next 2-3 years will catch up to the green. So I think there's a lot of potential there.
Who is presiding?
Excuse me?
Who is presiding?
I'm not sure I follow. What do you mean presiding?
Yeah, who's presiding the meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I am.
The vice chair.
Madam Vice Chair, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Does this look like we're heading for an annual record?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, I answered for you, but yes,
That's
yes,
okay.
yes, it does
Thank
look
you.
like a record. So, yeah, that's very exciting. So the bus fleet. I talked last month a little bit about the zero-base emissions plan that we're doing, and then we have these 2 grant applications. One, well, they're both the same, really. The federal government asked us to submit the same thing twice. So we're asking for the 3 buses we discussed, but in the second grant, which is 53 or 39, we'll be asking for some capital money for our facility. What I wanted to show you before I show you the zero emission plan that we have is I wanted to show you the whole fleet. And so our bus numbers are on the left. Total number of buses in the second column, goes to about 14. And you can see the age of the fleet varies quite a bit. And as you go to the middle, you can see the odometer readings, which have gotten to be pretty high. And then you can see the requested years is about 7 years. So a lot of those buses that we acquired back in 2015 are now reaching their end game. Some of those could go to 10 years, but that would require us to repower them with new engines and transmissions, which wouldn't necessarily have been a bad idea. We've been doing some of that. The problem now is that those engines and transmissions don't necessarily exist. We've had one vehicle we've been working on for almost 18 months trying to get that back out, only to find out that the engine that we got about 6 months ago doesn't work. So we try to fix a broken engine that was replacing a broken engine. I mean, I could go on all day. This is very crazy. But what I wanted to show you there is you can see a mixed fleet of Star Trans, Chevys, Aerotech, so on and so forth, as we've looked at those. And then you can see at the very end the projected year replacement. You see we're right on it. 2023 is next year. So a lot of vehicles would need to be replaced. Now, we took this chart and then we developed this. I'm very proud of this little challenge. I've been working with a consultant on it, but I started with the other chart and then we eventually get to something a little bit simpler. So what we're looking at doing is what is our future bus procurements by year if in fact we're looking at something different. And so on the left hand, you can see the fleet size in the current year is 14, year 2022, which was at the bottom of the other chart we just showed. Then you see down below that we're still going to be getting some gas or diesel vehicles because we ordered those 2 vehicles you see there. We ordered those in 2020. We've been waiting for 2 years. They haven't come in. We have another order of 3 more this year to come in for next year. So we're actually now at 5. And if we get the grants we hope to see in the next month, we're going to get 2 more. So that's really great. We have a lot of stuff on paper. We don't have vehicles. If we look at the zero emissions and we look at these 2 grants, what I'm going to show you in a minute, then you can see that in that second column, we'll be getting 3 more vehicles. So next year, for example, if all goes well, we're going to retire as many as 5 vehicles. So even though we're getting 6 vehicles, we're actually only growing the fleet by 1. And so this takes you all the way out to 2031. By 2031, the entire bus fleet, after the 2 Gillig buses we received, the hybrids 2 years ago, when those retire in 2023, 2024, the whole fleet will be zero emission. So we're within a decade of becoming all electric buses in the fleet. So we're pretty excited about that opportunity. This shows you the savings. Now, Adam, I'm going to give you this chart and you're going to run some numbers because that means dollars, right? I have to give Kurt credit for this one. So basically, as the buses go forward, you see in the second column, the miles that are operated with battery operated buses goes from 0 in the coming year to when those come in 2024 to 105,000 miles. Then you go all the way out to 2032, you get to 420,000 miles. We're currently doing 448,000 miles right now with all gas or diesel vehicles. So yes, within about a decade, we would replace that with electric vehicles. And so all those calculations go down. You see the yearly gas savings. We know that the price is $5 a gallon and beyond. You can do simple math and figure out what that's going to cost. And so there's some pretty significant cost savings there as this goes out. So it's actually a very exciting opportunity that we have right now. And then my last slide is really the MOU. So a year ago, we were asking the county for $628,000. And then during the course of the year, we saw a record number of fuel costs. The county gave us an opportunity to come in at mid-year and do a modification. They adjusted our contract and that increased us to $725. So that was our baseline going into this year. So we're really asking for about the same level of funds for the coming year because that now includes a higher amount for fuel. But we added $100,000 and that would go specifically to capital bus purchases. And that would help us with these electric buses that we're looking forward to go forward with. And that's the end of my presentation. Okay. So to keep it brief.
Thank you, Mr. Armijo. Any questions for Mr. Armijo? Hearing none, thank you. Okay. So the next item is discussion and approval of resolution authorizing the filing of Section 5307 application with the Federal Administration. Mr. Armijo.
All right. Let me switch that. So this first item, the 5307, is an item that Adam Shea and we had a conference call with the Federal Transit Administration's District 6 office in Fort Worth about 3 weeks ago. So they basically gave us support, David Bartels and company, to beginning the process of starting as a direct grant recipient. And so as a direct grant recipient and a new recipient in the process for the FDA, and now applying directly, we will have to submit everything we've ever done on grants over the coming months. So we're starting from scratch. The upside is we've already done this. So, a lot of this is just getting the proper paperwork. What I'm asking for the board to do today is there's a form. Becky is actually the recording officer for us today. And that resolution is an item that we would then submit to the FTA office after today's meeting that will basically allow them to, I guess, codify is the word they use, to say, here we go. Adam will be certified, I'll be certified, and then we begin the process of starting the grant application. They've indicated that this could take us about 3 months to do, maybe longer. A lot depends on how fast we can get the paperwork to them. In addition to this document, we're also working on another document with both our local lawyer, Mr. Carrillo. Actually, I think it's 3 documents, and our attorney in DC that will also help identify the process. So the federal government has identified what they call legal authority. That process will be done. So the first step in legal authority is this resolution that we're going to ask you to approve today. And then those documents I'll bring to the board, I hope by next month, from both of those attorneys. And then you will be asked once again to support those efforts as we begin this process. So there's going to be lots of documentation, lots of effort over the next several months as we go through this.
Okay.
And that's the end of my
Thank you,
presentation
Mr.
for this
Armijo.
particular item.
So this is resolution number 2022-22 that
Yes.
we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay, so at this time, Mr. Armijo has reviewed what this resolution is and what he is asking for in Resolution 2022-22. And if, at this time, if we could have a motion for approval of this resolution?
So moved by Flores.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor by Councilor Flores for resolution number 2022-22.
Second, by
And we do
Murillo.
have a second by Mayor Commissioner Trujillo. Any discussion regarding this resolution? Hearing none, if we could have a roll call, please?
Nora Barraza,
Yes?
Reggie Powie,
Yes, and I'm still on my phone because I can't get connected to audio by my computer.
Okay.
I've had the same problem.
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Trujillo.
Yes.
It passes. Thank you.
Okay, motion does pass. Okay, the next item on our agenda is discussion and approval of resolution. It's going to be 2022-23 to apply for federal funding for the fiscal year 2022 low or no low emissions grant program. Mr. Armijo?
Yes, thank you. This is the grant application or presentation that I made last month. It basically identifies the cost for 3 Gillig buses that are 100% electric bus. It includes the associated charging stations, the training for the employees of some $50,000, delivery costs, and so on. The total is just over $3 million. It does identify the federal funds and the local match. A lion's share of the local match would be money that we just discussed a moment ago would come from the county, as well as the $200,000 that we just identified from the state legislature. So this is going to be done over a course of 2 years. So the money will be what we have up front now, and then will be money we'll add next year to meet I think the local match is about 600,000.
Okay.
So we have about half of it already.
Okay, great. And so the amount that you will be applying for is the $3,040,354, and the match will be an estimated amount of $608,071
That's correct.
to purchase the 3 electric buses to replace existing fleet vehicles. Thank you, Mr. Armijo. If we could have a motion on the floor, please, for approval of Resolution 2022-23.
So moved by Flores.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Flores.
Second.
It's seconded by Mayor Commissioner Trujillo. Any further discussion regarding this resolution?
Yeah, this is Meiji Powie. I have a question. Where are we getting the $608,000 and $608,000? Where is that coming from?
Okay, and Mr. Armijo?
That's our match.
Right, and Mr. Armijo said we already have half from the county and from.
And the state,
I'm sorry?
state legislature.
From state legislators, from capital improvement. And the other half, where are you planning on tapping in?
The other half, we can, these funds would not be drawn until the vehicles come in 2024, so we have 2 more years. So we would ask the legislature in the next session to help us with that.
Okay, so, Meiji, I don't know if you heard that Mr. Armijo currently has half already through Doñana County and through the state legislators. This will not go into effect till 2024, and he will continue to ask the legislators for capital outlay money, and probably through the county also, possibly.
Okay, I did hear his response.
Okay.
Thank you, Nora.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and so he's hoping to get the other half here sometime soon, for sure by 2024. Okay. Okay, any other comments regarding this? Hearing none, if we could have a roll call, please?
Nora Barraza,
Yes.
Meiji Powie,
Yes,
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Trujillo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Motion does pass. Okay, the next item is for discussion and approval of Resolution 2022-24 to apply for federal funding through the fiscal year 2022, Section 5339B grant program. Mr. Armijo?
Yes, thank you. This one's going to be very interesting. So essentially, this is the same grant application with one caveat. It includes about $700,000 for the facility improvements that we would have at Sunland Park. The United States government normally has $180,000 a year for these programs. This past year, as I mentioned last month, they programmed $1.1 billion for both programs. And so the federal government has asked us to apply for both twice for the same buses. And the rationale that the federal government has is they want to provide at least 250 projects around the country to be funded. They also want to provide about 25% of those to be rural. And so they want to make the decision in either bucket of money that they would still have to provide those funds. So in other words, they might use up all the NOLO electric emission funds, but they would still have funds under 5339. And so if they selected us, they would say, okay, we're going to fund you out of the secondary one. So that's why we're doing it both. So we're not looking at local match for both. We're looking at local match for one and then some. And so again, this would be something we would fund using the funds we've already identified for the first year. We would match those the second year. And then if we got the larger funds for the facility, then we would have to go out and get more funding from either legislature or through our own funds here, or we do have to go to the county for that request.
Okay. Mr. Armijo has reviewed what this resolution is. So before we have discussion, if we could have a motion for approval of Resolution 2022-24.
So moved by Flores.
We do have a motion on the floor by Councilor Flores. We can have a second? I can second.
Second. Sorry, I couldn't
That's
get.
okay. We have a second by Mayor Commissioner Trujillo. And we will open it up for discussion. And I do have a question. Mr. Armijo, and I kind of echo Meiji Powey's question is that if we're already going to commit $600,000, where are we going to get $748,000 more dollars? That's almost $1 million,
No, it wouldn't be more. It'd be either or,
either or?
either or.
Okay,
So the difference would be the difference between the 600,000 and the 740, which would be another 140,000.
okay. So it's going to be either or that,
Yes. And, excuse
whatever
me,
comes first, or?
and we may not get all of it. In other words, they may only say, we're going to give you a portion of this or that. So the numbers may change and be lower, and then the local match would be lower.
Okay. And I guess my question was, since you're applying for both, are you going to submit them both at the same time? Is that what you're going to do?
I'm hopeful. I've only got one done. I have to get the other one done tonight.
Okay. I guess because what I'm thinking is we submit both of them and say you get both of them, you can decline one of them?
Yes, no.
Okay.
No, they won't even do that, but no, only
Okay.
one. You can only get one.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. So any other discussion?
Yeah, this is Meiji Powey again. So what happens if we can't get matching funds? I mean, we just don't get the money, and you said it could vary. They may not give us the total amount, so it wouldn't necessarily be the 600 or the 700,000, but we're still committed to the 20%. Is that correct?
Again, Ms. Powey, this is David Armijo. I'm actually glad you asked that. I forgot to say that buried in all these documents, there is that provision. There's a provision as to what would be the sustaining part of the project that you would do. And so I actually took a feather from last month's meeting from our current vice chair and said, well, what if we did it with one less bus? So I've actually run the numbers at a lower rate as our backup. So we actually do have a provision in there in which we would do one less. So, I mean, each of these buses are running about 800,000 plus one charger, so that's almost $1 million. So you drop $1 million, you also drop the local match by over 200,000. So that would actually be the simple answer to this, is that there is in the grant application that provision. So they could actually decide to us that, you know what, we're only going to fund you to this level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question, Meiji?
Well, it helps because, I mean, you know, when governments change and when the legislature changes and when we're having an election this year, you just never know what the decisions are going to be, either in Santa Fe or in Washington sometimes.
Correct. No, you're absolutely correct.
You're right.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you for those comments, Meiji. Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, if we could have roll call, please.
Nora Braza,
Yes.
Meiji Powey,
Yes.
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Trujillo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Motion does pass. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is discussion and a resolution, which will be Resolution 2022-25 for the preliminary fiscal year 2023 budget. Adam?
Thank you, Ms. Baraza. This is Adam Shea, the Finance Officer for South Central Regional Transit District. You should have this in your packet, and or actually both, one is the report itself simplified. The other is the workbook that I used to determine these figures. Basically, for the budget year, fiscal year 2023, revenue would be increased by 29.2% over fiscal year 2022. Expenditures by 38.7%. And again, I've done a breakdown of the column headings: personnel services, employee benefits, travel and maintenance, supplies, insurance, projects, contractual services and operating expenses. And then, of course, there's the capital appropriations of an increase of 35.4%. Considering what we are hoping to accomplish with the zero emissions, this is essential for us to gain new buses to enhance our capital. Now, is there any item that the board would like further developed or further explained from this preliminary? I did include a page for expenditures as well as revenue, but I can, again, expand on anything that is requested.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Allens?
the 29.2% increase in revenue, was that all from fares, or does that include grants, county funding, city funding?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, the page, I think it's 4, showing the revenue, it is specifically to the membership dues, the grants and agreements, as well as the other sourced revenues. But these were particular to operating expenses, or to go against operating expenses.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Are there
Adam,
any?
this is Macy Pally.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes, Major.
Why is travel and maintenance lumped together? That does not make sense to me.
That is how the budget is lumped together, that those items are together, and that's why it's just not changed. I can break it out for you if you would like.
Yeah, I don't understand what the connection is that they would be lumped together, because travel usually involves education, things like that, meetings, and maintenance, from what I understand, is for the vehicles, correct?
Maintenance, yes. Maintenance is primarily for the vehicles.
So what percentage of that is travel and what percentage is maintenance?
One moment, and I can tell you.
Thank you.
And also keep in mind that includes fuel. Travel maintenance includes fuel.
That's true. Travel and maintenance does include fuel. Expenditures specifically to travel is only about $5,000 of the total amount that is requested.
Okay.
Everything else
Okay,
is
that
maintenance and fuel.
maintenance.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, thank you, Major. Any other items of discussion? The only question I have is, your revenue is 29% increase.
Yes, ma'am.
That's an awful lot of a percentage increase. And what is that attributed to?
We've increased the number of drivers that we have, so that's wages. A portion
No,
of that is
that's not what
wages.
she's talking about. She's talking about revenue. She's talking about the answer is the 5307 funds.
Oh,
Oh,
of
the
course.
5307, that's in the event
the
that we
revenue,
get
of course.
that.
Yeah, and if you show her that line item, it's on 2 different lines. So we're moving money over. We had hoped to get those funds in this year. So we're actually going to have a headache next year, because now the funds will not become available until, as I mentioned earlier, the grant application gets approved by FTA. So we program those funds in the budget that begins in July, knowing we won't be able to access those funds for several more months. But those are funds that are in fiscal year '22 that run through September of this year. But because we're now a direct recipient, those funds stay with us for 5 years.
Oh,
So there's no rush.
Right.
We haven't even programmed next year's funds that are coming in.
Okay.
after October 1st. So, yeah, I think what we're going to find out is we're always going to lag a year on these funds. And I think that's going to be the safest way for us to work through it. But it does give us a lot more revenues at the moment. And then, of course, he can go into it. He has broken up the funds by what is viewed as Sunland Park and what is viewed as Anthony as well.
That's true.
So we're tracking the funds based on the service area.
And then also I noticed the membership dues, they're going up that much? I mean, I'm surprised that significant increase.
Yes, ma'am. That was what was approved last board meeting.
Okay.
And yes, it did go up by, let's say,
About 30,000?
yeah, it was about 29,000, I think, or so, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And again, that was based on population figures.
Okay. And then my other question is, are you anticipating a salary increase for staff? And if so, what is the percent?
We are anticipating a salary increase for staff, and that's the existing staff by 3.5%.
Mama.
3.5? And merit increase, have we always included that in our,
That's the 3.5%. And yes, that was last year when we went ahead and presented the budget, we put in a 2% merit increase. This time we put in 3.5.
This is Meiji Pally. I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a cost of living increase?
No, there is not a cost of living increase, and that's why we just left it at the 3.5% merit increase. And that is up to the managers to approve up to that figure. It doesn't always, the increase is not always that amount.
okay, so the way it's presented here on our sheet, this is what their current salary is, and based on merit increase per the supervisors, it could go up to as much as 3.5%.
Yes, ma'am.
Increase for the employee. Okay. Okay, any other questions?
Yvonne Flores has her hand up.
Oh, I don't see that.
I don't see
Okay.
it.
I can.
Councilman Flores?
Yes, thank you, Major, and thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Shay. I have a similar question along the same lines as Ms. Powie, our board member Powie. So isn't there a regulatory, I mean, what do I know? That's why I'm asking. A regulatory COLA, cost of living adjustment for employees?
I do not know of one. In fact, it's actually up to the company to determine that. Typically,
So
a
the
company will
company-
look at cost of living as it currently exists and approve a percentage that they would put in their budget.
And Mr. Shaden, who is the quote company unquote in this scenario?
South Central
Government.
Regional Transit District, and of course, the board.
Okay, so then, yeah, thank you. So I think that as a matter of policy, there should be a cost of living increase, a adjustment. And then with that, then if we were to say, yes, we should direct as a board of directors, the SCRTD to increase, do COLA adjustments. Does that pretty much wipe out the merit increase, or how does that work?
Generally speaking, a company will have one of two. It would be either a COLA or it would be a merit increase based on performance.
Okay.
And the COLA increase, a lot of it depends on the inflation that is in the country. At this point, it's what, 8%? And we're
It's pretty
asking-
high.
Yeah, it is pretty significant at this point.
I think what Counselor Flores is alluding to, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that for all employees to get a cost of living adjustment, she, I think, would like to see that happening. And if we haven't budgeted, take it from the merit increase. Instead of a merit increase, include it for all employees to get a 3.5%
Yeah.
increase. Is that what you're talking about, Counselor Flores?
Well, along those lines, Your Honor, I have a concern about our employees, or everyone, who we're all in the same boat, where prices on everything is going up exponentially. Exponentially. It's just amazing. And I don't want to lose our employees only because turnover is so expensive. Really, it costs more to replace someone than it does to keep an employee and then keep that employee, quote, happy, unquote, or in a situation where the employee feels appreciated and worthy of COLA. I would like to see personally, but I don't know, it's up to Mr. Armijo and Mr. Shea to look at the numbers. I personally would recommend that we have COLA increase. And yes, as you say, Mr. Shea, it's 8%. But there has to be some kind of a COLA adjustment. And I think that, I don't know, well, I understand there's a limited amount of money, but merit increases should also be encouraged, to improve performance and that sort of stuff. So it's sort of along the lines that you're saying, and I'm not sure. I agree along the lines that you've stated, Mayor, but I feel a very deep commitment or concern about employees being taken care of. And I'm not saying that what you presented doesn't take care of them, but an expansion of that.
And thank you, Ms. Flores. I agree with you wholeheartedly. In this economy, it would be welcomed by our employees without a doubt. And having a COLA separate from a merit increase that allows the supervisors to evaluate their employees properly. If you would like, I will, since this is the preliminary fiscal year 23 budget, and we want to meet again in June, I'm hoping. Anyway, we can have the final presentation. I can add in a line item for COLA specifically. I just want to make sure that I have the approval of the board at what percent.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Also, I agree. I think due to inflation right now, that it would be helpful and much appreciated, I think, from the employees if we were to give them a cost of living adjustment increase, and then, keep some of that merit pay in there. But I know trying to balance the budget is going to be the trick here. But if you have a 3.5 merit pay, I would just, I don't know, and I'd like to hear from the other members is, go with a 3.5% cost of living adjustment to start putting some numbers together. But of course, it's up to the members.
This is Meiji Powell. I have something to say because sometimes the merit increase can depend on the relationship between the employee and the supervisor, and I've seen it being used in punitive ways. Having worked 20 years for the state, I'd rather see a 3.5 across the board and then some real standards. What are your standards for merit increase? Is it somebody who has no sick days, somebody who's always on time? Merit is a tricky issue to use for giving people a raise, in my opinion.
Thank you, Meiji, for that. And I have to agree with you. I mean, I've never worked at a place that had merit pay, so I'm not that familiar with the merit pay. but
My
I
experience
agree.
has been in private industry, and every company I've worked for has a merit base. And primarily, it gives the power to the supervisor to evaluate their employees accurately. Those that do an outstanding performance, they get the top. But it allows the manager or supervisor to evaluate the employees and award them based on that evaluation.
Right,
Otherwise, you just take it away.
right. And I know what Meiji Powell is talking about.
I do too.
You know, where it could be misused, maybe, is the word, trying to get someone up the ladder. And maybe the best thing to do is combine, or maybe instead of having merit pay, do away with the merit pay and maybe give a 4% increase, cost of living increase. But of course, you know, it's open to the members for discussion.
Madam Chair, this is Yvonne again.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So Adam, Mr. Shea, do you, well, Yvonne Flores for the record, do you see, well, I think you believe that, oh, no, excuse me, I think I understood you to say that they're not mutually exclusive, you can have both. But then the question is, if we have the COLA at 3.5 or 4%, and then we had a merit increase that would be set, would have to have objective measures. They couldn't, I mean, there have to be, I know I've worked for private firms and for us, for attorneys, it's how many hours you bill. So if your billing is high, you know, and they tell you right from the get-go, you know, you achieve this amount of billing hours, and then that determines your merit pay, which is called a bonus at the end of the year. And there are objective measures. So I imagine that there are objective measures in every industry, but I don't know about every industry. But Mr. Shea, do you think that we could still have a merit increase in addition to a COLA, which would just be issued to everyone at the end of the year?
At the beginning of the year, you mean, right?
Or, you know, whenever it's issued, it's once a year.
Right.
Oh, the merit pay?
No, the adjustment, the COLA.
Once a year?
The COLA typically happens at the beginning of the year, your budget
okay.
year. And the merit increase is dependent upon the employee's anniversary date. That's where the employee gets a fair or evaluation from their supervisor, and the supervisor determines, okay, since you've done such and such a job, this is the percentage we're going to go ahead and increase. And that's on top of the COLA, of course. Each position, the thing to remember is each position in a company is different. A bus driver is evaluated based on certain criteria versus a mechanic based on certain criteria. So we do have an evaluation form that we do use. It is pretty in-depth, and it covers a wide range of areas. I would have to defer to the supervisors because I believe them to be fair and open-minded to their particular employees.
Okay.
If I may.
Just speaking in terms of finances, though, the way, you know, the books are, the financial books, would it be possible to have a merit pay as well, Mr. Shea?
Let me interrupt and answer that question. So let me go back to the beginning. We're here as a preliminary budget in part because as we were preparing for today's meeting last week, we did not have two of our financials in place. We did not have the numbers from the county that we now have. So that's good news. The most troublesome one and the largest budget we have is from the state of New Mexico, and those funds have not yet been awarded. So we've gone in right now with the hope that the money that we programmed last year with the state, that those funds will be approved. If in fact they're approved, we would have a substantial windfall of resources. And so we would probably be able to address this issue much better a month from now. But until that happens, we don't know yet what our numbers are going to be. We know that we're comfortable that where we are now is good, and we feel comfortable that we can program 3.5%. Just increasing that up to 5% would be a very big challenge to us without knowing the other parts. I wanted to add one last thing, which is that much like the presentation that was made on the budget yesterday for the County of Doñana, which was very well done, they had several assumptions, and two of those assumptions are very similar to what we're talking about today. We haven't talked about this one yet, but we did have an assumption of bringing up the lowest level staff to $15 an hour, and the county's doing the same thing. And just for the county to add that number in at $15 an hour will add $500,000 into their budget in the coming year. So even something that seems not to be too essential, when you calculate against 900 plus employees, it adds up. So for the county, that's a big number. The second thing I wanted to lay out, so we at least reached that infamous $15 that everyone likes to point to, and I think that's an important one for our employees. And that'll be the second increase for the new employees that started in the last year, because we'd already adjusted those salaries to $14 an hour earlier, and now they'll go to $15 in July. Then leading that to the merit, which, maybe that can be evaluated as to some kind of a COLA. I think we'll be in a better position a month from now to come back and say, okay, here's what we could do, here's what the additional costs can be, and we can cover that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Armijo. And I think I would rather see it in a cost of living, a COLA, versus a merit pay. And that way it's equal across the board, and everyone, we're all struggling, with inflation. And so it's only fair to give every single employee a cost of living adjustment. And then based on what Mr. Armijo just mentioned, if there's room to put in for merit pay in the budget, we can do so. But I think at this point, it would be nice to see maybe a 4% increase of COLA for everyone across the board. I mean, I leave it up to the members, and then maybe put a section there possibly, because if you give a 4% or even a 3.25
3.5.
percent, and then you do another one for merit pay, that's 7% increase for an employee, and that's pretty significant. And I think with minimum wage going up, we have to address that also and prepare ourselves for that, because what is it, in 2 years or so, it has to be at $15? Something like that. And so we all need to look into the future also, that we can sustain that in our budget also. So, any other comments?
Yeah, Nora, this is Maggie Sally.
Yes.
I'm looking at that page, and I look at their wages for your drivers or your operators.
Yes.
I don't know how many of us could live on $21,000, $27,000 a year, $26,000. That's a real struggle if that's a one-income family. So to me, to be fair, I would love to see everybody get a COLA, and then if there's money left over, to talk about merit.
I agree.
Madam Chair?
Okay, thank you, Meiji. Yes, Councilor Flores?
Thank you. Yes, I totally agree with along the lines as both you and Meiji have stated. But I would like to see Mr. Shea, Mr. Armijo, however it is that they work together. But I would like to see that that it's not an either or situation with COLA and the merit pay. And then, as you said, Mayor, if it were a 3% left for merit, that would be 7%, and then that would be close to the rate of inflation. So, and I think that generally when you prepare a budget, I don't know, Mr. Shea, but I don't think that we always look at those factors. I mean, I'm not saying we, I mean, I don't know, you know, the world of finance looks at those factors in assessing pay and equity insofar as, you know, inflation goes. So I would like to see an analysis as to what kind of money we'd be looking at and whether, you know, whether it's possible or prohibitive or, you know, whatever. But I agree with what Meiji said. I mean, you can't, I mean, you know, I mean, some of the salaries aren't really sustainable. I mean, for one person, much less a family, so. Thank you, Mayor.
I understand. So when I come before next month to present the budget for fiscal year 2023, I will change this 3.5% to a COLA. I will add a 3.5% merit increase so you see the difference.
Can you also put in a 4% COLA, another column for 4%
Sure.
COLA? Okay. And I know as we're prepared our budget at the town of Mesilla, a lot is just based on revenue. I mean, we're not in a position that we have all this extra money lying around that we can play with COLA, you know.
Yeah, the difficulty is that the amounts that I show under the revenue, those were submitted to the state last year for 2023. I don't think anybody's seen 8% inflation in the future. So again, we are dealing with an amount, a limited amount, of course.
Right, absolutely. And who was to anticipate also our gas increases also. And so, and just even the cost of supplies and materials. So, I mean, all those factors I know you have to deal with and try to prepare a good balanced budget. So we're working on our budget, I understand, I truly understand all that.
Yes, ma'am. And personnel is our biggest
Oh,
expense, of course.
Yes, that and benefits, absolutely. So, are you all okay with that? Okay, great. Okay, any other discussion?
I have none to present.
Okay, thank you.
If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, so at this time, we do have a motion on the floor for approval of the preliminary fiscal year 2023 budget with the conditions that we've asked Mr. Shea to provide us additional documentation before we approve the final budget. So is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Yep.
We can have a call on it, Kim, a vote.
I'm sorry?
We can vote on it now, right?
Yes. Okay, and so we'll take a roll call, please.
Nora Barraza,
Yes.
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Yvonne Flores,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Trujillo,
Oh, leave.
Diana
That's a-
Trujillo,
Commissioner Trujillo?
She's muted.
Yes, am I hearing a yes?
She's trying to unmute.
Oh, it's, you need to unmute your phone. Mayor? Mayor Trujillo?
She can give us a thumbs up. Maybe that'll be a yes vote.
Yeah, or do a thumbs up. There you go. Oh, I think we just lost her. I have a virtual court hearing. I need to excuse myself.
Okay, so this is the last item, so.
Okay,
we lose a
can
quorum.
we just do a thumbs up? Mayor Trujillo, if you can approve that?
She can do it in
I
chat.
think we lost her.
and that would be loss of quorum too.
Yep.
Okay. So due to lack of a quorum, this motion did not pass, but I think we have instruction on what to do for our final budget. Okay. So the next item, since we do not have a quorum, we can have a discussion regarding the Human Resources Manual, but we are not able to take any action on that.
I think we better to postpone it, the whole thing.
Okay.
I know I need to go,
Yes.
I need to get my grant application in today.
Okay,
Work with the
great.
state.
Okay,
Oh, well,
Thank you.
okay, so
Madam Chair.
due to a lack of a quorum, we will have the discussion and resolution 2022-26 postponed till our next meeting. So on that note, do we have any board comments? Hearing and seeing none. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 25th, 2022. Is that here at Doña County, Mr. Armijo? Still here? It will be here at the Doña County Government Center. And if there are no objections, we will adjourn this meeting. Hearing
Thank
no
you,
objections,
Chair.
we will adjourn. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Good to see
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Laura.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was fast. That was great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.